We're on it.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so I'm going to read this quote to you. I think it's a really good indication of kind of what's going on and what's coming down from Keller Williams International. So I'm just going to read this out loud. Shift happens, and when it does, you must shift with it. You need to pivot quickly. If you don't take action, you're literally turning your business into a game of chance. And there's no reason to do that. Make no mistake, you need to pivot. You need to pivot today. Every shift leaves an opening, a reason to stay in the market. Every problem eventually presents a solution, a way to help someone when they need it most. Today isn't yesterday, and tomorrow isn't determined. When the desire to do more comes from a place that's bigger than ourselves, anything is possible. Potential can become reality. When we pivot, we help others pivot, and together we all have the opportunity to achieve more. So that was straight from Gary Keller, and I love it, and I think it definitely applies to what we have going on today, and especially with our special guest, Annie Cannon. So I want to just give a quick little rundown. Hopefully, I don't think everybody knows who you are, Annie, so really quickly.
I know.
Yeah. You know a few of the faces?
I don't know everyone here. Yeah.
Okay, so Annie has been licensed since 2003. She graduated from USU. She is a huge outdoor enthusiast, right? She loves hiking and camping and did lots of yard work this weekend. She has sold hundreds of homes, and she has one of the most amazing mindsets I've ever seen. She just kind of puts her head down and gets to work. And so I asked her to join us mostly because we are in a shift, right? So things are changing, and I hear people all the time like, I'm just going to wait and see what happens, just kind of get through this. And that probably isn't the right thing to be doing. So we actually need to continue taking action. And she's somebody who does that. So I asked her to join us today, and she so graciously said yes. So Annie, take it away.
Hey, thanks you guys. I know this is so fun to see people again. It's been, the social distancing is getting to me a little bit. So it's fun to see some faces. Okay, so I thought maybe I would just tell you guys a little bit about my career. I mean, I'm about 17 years into this, and I think so often we look at people who have had some success and we think, oh, they've always been that way. They just must be smarter than me, or they just must be better than me, and so they've just had that success. But really, like, as we all know, the path to success is not a straight line. Like, we've all made mistakes and learned from them, hopefully learn from them. I think that's the biggest thing. So if that's okay, I'll just take a couple minutes to tell you about my journey to where I am now. So like Terry said, I got my license in 2003. I had graduated from college and just didn't have any great prospects. I had wanted to go to graduate school, and my dad was in really poor health and needed my help at home. So I came home to take care of him, and I was working nights as a waitress, and then I got a little marketing job, and I kind of got into that job and realized it wasn't for me. So I had an opportunity from a home builder to come and work in his model home. So I got my license in like minimum time, 2 weeks, hurried and took the test, got ready to go, super excited. And that was in 2003. That lasted for about a year, and then he actually went bankrupt. He was not the best business person. So I was like, now what, So in the meantime, I had met a developer from Heber. And I loved what he was doing in Heber. I loved the product that he was selling up there in the subdivision that he had developed. So I was actually selling it from Harriman. Like, I actually was in a model home in Harriman, and I sold 3 houses in Heber for the builder that I was working for in the model home. He ended up going up there and building them. So that's how I knew this developer. So I said, hey, why don't you come let me work for you? Here I am, I'm like 23, I have no experience whatsoever. I mean, other than the 6 months in the model home. And he said, sure. So that was awesome, because that was like 130 units. And the average price point was like 600,000, which at that time was a lot. So that got me on my feet. So, which was really nice. But the timing of that was great, because the market was super strong. And and I was so young, I didn't own a home. I didn't like understand really what really went into getting a mortgage prior to this time in the industry, which was anybody who wants a mortgage can have a mortgage. If you have $500 and a job, you can have a mortgage for pretty much however much you want. So I was kind of, drinking from a fire hose, enjoying that income and everything about it. And then we started to see the market turn. Then the market crashed pretty hard. My husband is a residential architect, so his income went to literally zero, like literally nothing, because he, no one was building. Why would you build, when you could buy for pennies on the dollar? So I knew I had to do something. I knew that I had to dig in and do something, because I didn't, honestly, and I think you guys could probably all agree with this, and maybe you've been there, and maybe this is where you are right now in your life, but when you don't have a choice, it makes it pretty easy to do the work that needs to be done, right? I mean, you literally, like, you don't have a choice. You have to do something. So it was either go find a job in a poor economy, or dig in and figure out the real estate thing and how to kind of take off, aside from selling high-end new construction homes, because that wasn't happening at that time. So that's what I did. I found another developer who was selling condos in Midvale, right by where Topgolf is. And we had the government stimulus package at that time, where they were giving like $8,000 to first-time home buyers. So we were able to capitalize on that and get people to buy homes in that time. And it was fascinating. I mean, we were a team, the sales team, the developer, the builder. We were all like, we knew we were on hard times, and so we had to kind of work together and do it. And we did. We got through that. And then from there, I started calling people from internet leads, which, if you guys, for those of you who know me or have talked to me about my business, like, I don't call people.
That's not you.
Nope, that's not me. I am like still super shy, and like I don't call people. So I had to do it. So again, like when you're faced with like the choice of doing the hard thing or suffering the consequences, you do the hard thing. So I did, and that was where my business really started to build. So this was before like the time of Zillow and Trulia and all of, like, it's a different world now than back then. This was like in 2010, 11, 12. So we were floating there in the bottom. So I went from like helping these families in Heber that were just like, these great families, great places in their lives, pumping in like a lot of money into these homes, to helping people that were in bad situations, whether that was short selling their homes or it was a tough time in the economy and in the world. And so it was like I shifted from this, it was just such a different feel. And I guess that's maybe where now, I don't really find this recession like super relatable to 2008, thank goodness. In so many ways it's not. But in that way, I think it is, where we have to look at ourselves as like, as a problem solver, as an advocate, as the person that can help someone, that may be going through a hard time right now. So I was able to do that, and I was able to learn the short sale market pretty fast. Again, like it goes back to that, exactly what Terry said, like you have to be on your toes, like you have to be ready to shift, or I guess as you quoted Gary Keller saying, like,
Pivot.
You got to be ready to pivot. Like it's not a slow turn, it's a pivot. You have to be ready to adapt to the market. And I think that's what I did out of necessity, because I went from, drinking out of a fire hose, selling high-end properties, to all of a sudden, okay, I got to learn short sales. I got to try to, make sure if I'm working with a buyer that I know how to get their offer approved, that they're the offer that gets chosen, or that I know how to work with a bank-owned property and get their offer chosen by the bank. Or if I'm working with a seller, I can navigate through the short sale process with them, which was rewarding and sad and everything at the same time. But it was a good opportunity to learn. I think that's where it kind of sunk in for me that and I guess this will be a good transition into what I wanted to chat with you guys about and have some feedback. But it became very much not about the money for me, like this job, and just about helping people. And I think, and honestly, like it sounds maybe a little bit cliche, but I have learned something about myself, and that is that I am not as motivated by money as maybe other people are, or maybe I should be. So, I mean, we all, like, obviously we're all working for a reason, and we all, need that in our lives. It's a necessity, and it's nice to have. But like I think you have to find a deeper meaning. I think you have to find a deeper reason to motivate you. And maybe you don't. Maybe for you that's enough. But for me, I'm a little bit more motivated by knowing that I'm like helping someone through a circumstance. So that was, I think that shift was where I kind of learned that. But I was thinking we could talk about, like, I kind of wrote down like four things that help me have like a better mindset, mentality. And I thought maybe I could like touch on each one and then have you guys pipe in. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay. So
and one thing I just want to add to this really quickly, Annie, I 100% know that's exactly how you are. She joined us from another brokerage, and I don't even know if it's the first time I met her, but she was like, I have no idea how many houses I've sold. I don't know how much money I've made. Like, she really didn't know. And I was like, it's because she's not doing this for money. She's just doing it. So
yeah, I do. I've always been a worker. I don't know. I listen to a lot of different podcasts, and they say like addiction is real, and like everybody, we all have our thing, right? Like for me, it's work. Like, I don't know. I probably have some deep issues that I need to address, but work is like, I love to work. And so I've had to work on like finding a balance as I've had kids and tried to, have a decent marriage. And so like I've had to work on that, but it's just what I love. It's just who I am. So, and that's one of the things I was going to point on too. So.
Awesome. Okay.
So the first thing goes back to what I've already said, is just like what is your motivation? What is your why? Like, figure that out. One of my favorite podcasts it's called, I'll send it to you. I think it's called Mindset Mentor. And I like it because they're like 15 or 20-minute podcasts, and they are just, write that down. You'll love it. They'll get you through the day. But, he talks a little bit about, in one of his podcasts, about how money can buy happiness, but it can't buy fulfillment. And fulfillment is like so much more lasting than happiness. So that's just my first tip. And just, I don't know if you guys have had any experiences you'd want to share just about how you've like found fulfillment in this job.
Anyone?
I think sometimes it comes from like helping people and clients, and then sometimes it does come from just the reward, and like just the satisfaction. Did you have something to share?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I had sound issues, but I think
I'm glad you're outside. It's nice.
Oh my gosh, I'm spending as much time outside as I can.
I know.
One of my most favorite client that I helped last year was a family that had to short sell their house back in the economy crash, and was living in the basement of her parents' house. And she works at Walmart and he works at another kind of blue collar place, and they couldn't afford a lot. And I met them door knocking, and Tony and I worked with them for like 8 months to get their finances in order so that they could qualify for like a $260,000 house, which isn't a lot. But going through that process with them and seeing their excitement and the houses that I would take them to see. I'll be honest, sometimes in the back of my mind, I was like, I would never live here.
Yeah.
But I learned so much from them, the joy that they were having just at the idea of owning a home again and having their own space, and each of their kids having their own bedroom. And you know, they ended up buying this house in Magna, and they were ecstatic at this house. And I just felt like that taught me so much about the kind of person that I want to be and the kind of people I want to help. And that, not that my other clients I didn't have joy for either, but I felt like they were the ones that I felt the most for, because it was so, like, it was more than just like, oh, I want to upgrade or I need this fancy this. They just wanted a place to call home. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. But.
Yeah, I know. I love that. I think that's so true. Like, it just, like, I just loved his, you know, his sentiment of just like, yeah, sure, money actually can buy happiness, but like, these are the things that are probably going to get us through, because at some point we're going to hit a wall where, like, once you have enough money and you have what you need, it doesn't really motivate you anymore. So what is it that is, you know, motivating you? Whether it's, like you said, helping a family that really needs you. Like, a lot of agents probably would have just been like, I don't have time for you. I'm going to go find an easier buyer, or, you know, a higher price point or whatever. So like, they're so thankful for you and what you did, you know? So that's awesome. So that's my number one thing, is like, really, really find what is motivating you. Number two, I love to ski. I think Terry mentioned that. I meant to share a picture with you, but I'm not that prepared. But so my favorite place in the whole world is Honeycomb Canyon at Solitude. And it is just like, to me, it's just like the most gorgeous place on the planet. And when it's a sunny day and like lots of powder, there's nowhere I'd rather be. So I took my 9-year-old daughter with me there, and I was like, you'll be fine. We're fine. It's fine. And then we got up there, and I kind of was like, oh, I forgot. Like, it's fine for me, but because I'm an experienced skier and I'm comfortable, but it's not fine for her. So, but what we did is we just took it little by little. We found a section of mountain that was doable, and we took it, and then we looked around, you know what you do when you ski, and then we found the next best section, and then we took it. And so I think that's my biggest thing, is like, if you're looking at this as a whole big picture of, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? Where do I start? Like, just start. Just take a little piece, a little corner of your business, whatever that needs to be, that you feel like you need to work on for this day, and just do it. Whether it's reaching out to people, whether it's, you know, driving around and looking for a couple FSBOs, just do it. Like, it's better than doing a little bit is better than doing nothing at all. And I think, like, so many of us, we get so overwhelmed, you know. I do it with my house, because I don't have a house cleaner right now, and I let it get out of control, and then I'm like, I'm just so overwhelmed. Whereas if I just can take it one room at a time, you know. So that would be my second piece of advice, is just, if you only have an hour to devote to real estate that day, just take the hour and do the thing, no matter what it is, you know. So, sorry, Terry. Oh, is that your dog? Does anyone have anything to add to that? Carmen, I feel like you're really good at that. I feel like you and Zula are really good at everything, and you should be teaching.
Well, I know one thing that that Emily says, kind of along those lines, is, what is your floor and what is your ceiling? And so whatever the floor is, don't ever allow yourself to not do less than what your floor is every day.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe you're not going to get from floor to ceiling in a day, but don't just check out. Like, do something, stay connected. I think that's, and I think that's the biggest thing. And we talk about it in our shift group too, is, and Terry can attest to this, but just like staying connected to your people, like now more than ever, you know, be there to answer their questions. And maybe they're real estate related and maybe they're not, but try to be there, be that voice of reason, and people will start to associate you with a person that is, you know, in the know, giving sound advice, like, you know. And so even if that just means for that day, just reaching out to a few friends or whatever, that's better than nothing. So.
Annie, one thing I was just going to add to that really quick, on Matt Townsend's thing that he did a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
he was talking about the growth versus fixed mindset. And he said, he brought up specifically agents that might not be as established in the business to use this as a relatable thing for us as agents. And he said, the thing I worry about right now is if we're not having a growth mindset, then we are going to say it's this or this, right? So like with you, you're like, it's either I can ski down this mountain or I can't. And a lot of people are going to put themselves in the camp because they don't feel like they have the experience to get through any kind of a softening. So that just made me think of that, of like not making it, you have a growth mindset.
Yeah, it's not a yes or a no. It's it's I can stick to this, and maybe I'm not gonna, maybe the goals are gonna look different, or the time frame for the goals is going to look different, but it's not a no, it's just a different, it's a different kind of yes, I guess. I have a quote that I love that I wanted to share with you guys. It's from Theodore Roosevelt, who has a lot of good things to say. But he said, this is one of my very favorite quotes. He said, "A soft, easy life is not worth living if it impairs the fiber of brain and heart and muscle. We must dare to be great, and we must realize that greatness is the fruit of toil and sacrifice and high courage. For us is the life of action, of strenuous performance of duty. Let us live in the harness, striving mightily. Let us rather run the risk of wearing out than rusting out." That's my favorite part. I say wear yourself out. So it's like Kimber said, like just when it gets hard, it's like you don't have to say no, I can't do it. Like just break it down to a way that you can do it, and then just go to work. Okay, so the third thing I thought of is just like, you got into this business in a certain market, which was really good, right? And I mean, we're not that far off from that. Yeah, it has changed and we need to adapt, but this is not 2008. You guys can do this. But what you need to know is that the market is always going to change. Like, it's never going to stay the same. We've all known that this market had to change. Like 8 to 10% in appreciation year over year is not a healthy market anyway. So maybe this is what's going to do it, maybe not. Maybe it'll be a couple more years where we start to see more of a housing recession, because this is, I don't think this is what this is, but it could be this. Maybe if this doesn't, if this thing doesn't clear up soon, we could start to see more of that. But either way, it doesn't matter. The market is always going to change. The fundamentals never change. The fundamentals are always the same. And I think you just, as an agent, you just have to know, one, it's hard work. It's always going to be hard work. 2, like, how are you standing out? What are you doing to set yourself apart from your competition? And 3, are you putting your clients first? Like, and I know that there's different paths to success for everyone. I feel like mine is kind of unconventional in a lot of ways. I haven't done all the things the way that, like, you guys are probably learning, but I think those are the biggest things. Like, what are your fundamentals? Like, for me, it's working hard and putting my clients first, and those things never change. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a 2006 market, a 2019 market, or a 2020 market. Like, it's always the same thing. Like, work hard, watch out for your people, put your clients first, and it will probably work out for you. So, pretty simple. Any thoughts on that?
Anyone?
And then this is another thought that I like, is I think it's easy for us to say, like, why am I not, like, it's easy to say, why am I not having success? Why am I not closing any deals? Why am I not, losing the 10 pounds I want to lose? Like, whatever it is, like, it's easy to say, why not? But instead, you should shift your mind from why to how. So don't say why not, why me, why not me. Say how. How could I do this? How could it be me? How could my success be to the level of so and so? What do I, what do I need to do? Not why, but how. So I think we just underestimate ourselves, and so we just need to ask ourselves that question and then implement the answer. So whatever that is. I have a cute client that I've been working with for a while, and she's just a cute first-time buyer, and she's 33 and single and adorable, and she's earning at her job, like, I don't know, she has a great job. She earns like $100,000 a year, and she just didn't think that she was capable of buying a home. She has an 805 credit score and $100,000 income. I'm like, you're good. Let's go find a home. But her friend was the one who, she was at a friend's house, like a friend of a friend, an acquaintance. And this friend had this beautiful home, and everyone, all these single girls are like, what the heck? How does she have this nice house? And she's single. And my client was like, and then one girl was like, she makes like $100,000 a year. And my client was like, so do I, and it wasn't until then that it dawned on her that she could have a house too. And I just think sometimes it was just a good example to me of we kind of underestimate ourselves a lot. And that was her, she just hadn't really thought that she was capable of that. And I think we all are guilty of that. Don't underestimate yourself. Just ask yourself how. She didn't say, well, why don't I have a house? She said, oh, what do I need to do to get a house? So she called me, and we started down the path with lenders, and she realized that she should definitely be owning a home, So I think it's just that. Just know that you're capable and worthy of whatever you want. You just have to figure out the how and do it. So those are my 4 points. Does anyone have anything to add? Or questions for me?
I have lots to add. I wanted to ask you a few more questions, and then we can open it up to questions. And then I would love to share some ahas I wrote down from you, as well as what anybody else would like to share that we can at least walk away learning. I learned a lot from you. Yeah. Thank you. I really wanted to know, kind of what are you doing with your lead generation activities right now? So how have you pivoted those, if you have? Maybe you haven't. But kind of what does your day look like right now?
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because I feel like we have these pep talks a lot, and it's no, let's get to the nitty gritty. Yes. What are you really doing? I don't know if my day is an exemplary day, and it might be just because I have been doing this a long time, so I don't really do a ton of lead generation. Most of my business comes to me through referral, but I definitely when I had a pretty quiet March, and I started saying, oh shoot, so I definitely started reaching out to people. And what I did is I kind of reached out to anybody that I had talked to about buying or selling, and I said, we need to have a conversation. This is kind of what's happening. Rates were all over the place, crazy. We didn't know, and we still don't know. None of us can really predict what the market will do, but I just wanted to make sure that I was their person. I didn't want them having to reach out to anyone else. So I think that's your thing, is just is maybe people are pulled back right now. And that's what I was finding is a lot of my clients, past clients, potential clients were not knowing what to do. And I just felt like it was very much my job to stay informed. So I just started reading everything I could find on the economy, and I would either send them a text hey, I just saw this article was encouraging, or hey, I wanted to just give you a quick call and talk to you about how you're feeling about the market. My days are I don't know. I'm a really bad example of I am just I'm busy all the time, but I don't know. But I think this shift definitely, or this pandemic definitely kind of woke me up. okay, like it's not gonna just like, I have to take action, you know? So I try to do that. I have, and again, like there, nothing in my life is routine, but some of the things I've done is like, drop. So I've done little things on my social media where I've wanted to give back. So I have clients who own an optical shop. So I get that they've had to close all their stores. So I did like a giveaway for $150 to their, I have friends that I grew up with who own a bakery. So that was fun. So I had people just comment about how it's Schmidt's Pastry Cottage. So I had people comment how they know Schmidt's or how they, you know, how they know this family, because they've been like such a pillar in our community. And that was really good. I got a ton of interaction. And then I went and dropped off like 10 boxes of treats over the weekend. So I think that's the thing too, is like, it's not necessarily, and I know this is hard when you guys are trying to just start out in your business. And I empathize with you. I want you to know that like, that's, you know, it's easier when you're more established to take this approach. But for me, I just knew that I needed to be like more of a support system, like a friend, a sounding board, whatever I needed to be. And I didn't need to be like pushing real estate right now, you know? So that's where I kind of shifted, but at the same time knew I needed to stay in front of people, keep my clients informed, and hopefully like help out in the community where I could. So I did a couple other giveaways, and that was fun. I'll probably keep doing that for a while.
So you're doing all the activities, you just might not be as structured as you think it should be, but you are doing it. You're doing everything. So.
Yeah, I'm just not, I don't time block.
It's okay. Whatever works for you, and it's clearly working, you guys. I don't know if you saw her GCI that Kimber sent out in the email or in the bio that you saw, but this is working for Annie. So Annie, I wanted to ask you, so going back to say 2008 and things were moving along, and you kind of touched on this, but a lot of people, I'm looking at faces and I can maybe pick out one or two that probably went through the last recession. So had you not, I mean, I feel like I'm trying to reassure people like it's going to be okay, but I've been there before, you've been there before, so it's easier said than done. But if you could go back to like your feelings of being scared and your feelings of, I'm hearing a lot like my clients don't want to do anything and I can't combat Google and I can't combat Fox News, and going back to that mindset, how did you get through that? How did you, other than just picking yourself up, but just kind of going back to those thoughts, how did you handle them?
Well, and I'm so glad that you asked that, because I did want to touch on that. Because we kind of, like, I was, let's see, what was I, like 27, 28 at the time? Not the age matters. I mean, everybody, you know, but I was young and I was new and I was, scared. And so we kind of looked at it like, we're doing well if we can survive this thing without, you know, dipping into our savings or whatever. And we were so proud. We were like, oh man, we worked so hard. We didn't have to use our savings. And now I'm like, we should have been taking opportunities. And, you know, and now, and that's what I would say to you guys, look at this as an opportunity. And like, I mean, we're at a brokerage that has been like the best example of doing that. Like Keller Williams is using, you guys are amazing. Like you guys, I can see how you're using this as an opportunity to, one, show your agents like us the value that we have by being here, and two, like show the value to prospective agents. You know, like I would not want to be anywhere else right now. Like I can't even imagine being at some of the brokerages that I used to be at. There would be nothing. There would be no help. There'd be like, well, see ya when we see ya, you know, good luck. And so like, I think as agents, we can be the same way. Like, look at this as an opportunity. Like, I mean, I look at like this developer that I called about selling his townhome complex. He has like 8 townhomes that he's building here in Riverton, and my husband knows him. And I was like, you know, I'm going to call him and try to market those. And he's like, he's like, thank you so much, but I don't need an agent. I have a wait list of 60 people for these things, you know? Well, those wait lists are getting smaller. Like they're not, we're in a different market. And not that it's crazy bad, but it's different. And I think for us as agents, it's an opportunity to say, you know, you need me now. Maybe you didn't need me then, but you probably do now. So that I guess that would be my thing, is like, don't be scared by it. Find the opportunities, like look for the opportunities. They're everywhere. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like I was a little scared. And I think for me, like, you know, I told you I went and I found the developer in Midvale and sold those condos, and that was safe. It was the safe choice. Like I worked hard and I was able to work with my own clients at the same time. So I was able to kind of slowly build my business, and I maybe sold like 10 or 12 homes outside of what I was doing at the condo thing. So it was good. I mean, it was enough, you know, to have, you know, to start building the business. But it was like the safe choice. Like now looking back with hindsight being 2020, I'm like, oh, I wish I would have like taken more chances and like taken advantage of the discounted real estate that was out there a little bit more, you know. But so that would just be my thing, is just look at it as an opportunity.
Awesome. Okay, so according to the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, Gary Keller talks about his energy plan. What do you do to keep your energy up? I know you said just go for it and wear yourself out, but I know you have a lot of energy. So what do you do? Do you have a morning routine that you do every day, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so I do think that's important, because burnout is real, for sure. And so I think for me, so I mean, yeah, I'll tell you guys, like I was raised this way, like you just work, like that's what we do. We are workers, and you work hard, and if you have to work till midnight and sleep 5 hours, that's what you do. And like I think for me, you do start to feel the burnout. And I think that I have kind of tried to realize and learn that like it's good to work hard, but we can also work smart and like not work as hard, but work a little bit more smart than hard, you know. And so I'll tell you, like it kind of dawned on me probably about 4 years ago in 2016. I was kind of feeling down, like I had just, I don't know, my youngest was like 4, so he was 3, kind of like I was starting to all of a sudden feel like I had freedom, like I had a little bit of freedom. So I started working out a lot, and you know, we all have our different fitness stories, but like for me, I realized that like I can take an hour out of my day and just have it to myself and not answer phone calls and not answer my kids and not do anything that aside from what I'm focusing on for an hour, which is my physical well-being and mental well-being. And it's okay. Nothing's going to change. Everybody's still going to be there. So I started doing that. And that was like a big eye opener for me, because I used to kind of use this like, well, gosh, those moms, you know, they're not like trying to juggle work and kids and all this, so they can go to the gym and they can do all that. And I quickly like realized like it's just about priorities, and like it's okay to take an hour out of your day for yourself. So I mean, I do that. I try to, you know, I'm a big believer in getting outside and exercise, and you know, it's benefit to our mental health as much as our physical health. So I do that. But other than that, I'm probably a pretty bad example of balance. I don't really.
She's not a bad example.
Literally has her phone glued to her ear 24. So.
Not true. Cute Annie was invited to do Ragnar with us, 220 miles to the Wasatch back. And we're like, hey, we need a runner. And she's like, okay. And then she's like packing up her stuff. She's like, whoa, wait, we have to pack? And how long are we going to be gone? And how many miles am I running? But she already said yes. So trooper. This girl is a trooper, and she killed it because she's a runner. So
good time. That was so fun. That was amazing.
It was fun.
Just don't ask questions, you guys.
I would
just
say,
go
like,
into it dumb.
Because Annie's so humble that she won't even ever say anything good about herself sometimes. I feel like probably part of your energy, where your energy comes from, is your attitude. And I know it's more natural for you, but I would say it's a good lesson for us that don't have that natural Annie energy. Like, your attitude can suck the life out of your energy.
Yeah.
And so, like, putting that in check, if it's not as natural to be positive, I think is a good thing to add to your energy plan. And you probably don't even notice that that's part of.
Yeah, oh, well, you're just sweet to say that about me, but I kind of have been thinking about that a lot lately. So my dad, this is the thing, like, we all have our story, we all have, like, our personalities are innate, but I think also a reflection of, you know, how we're raised or our environment, our surroundings. And so I think for me, and people will say this about me, like, you don't even, like, nothing even phases you, like, what the heck? And I really am kind of unfazed, and I think that's one of the things that is helpful. But my dad was very sick my whole life, and he could not breathe. Like, he literally could not breathe. So he would still go to work every day, and he would come home and he would be like, I gotta, like, just that feeling. I don't know if any of you guys have asthma or allergies or anything where you just, like, can't get a good breath. Like, that was him. And so he kept a really positive attitude. And so I think, like, for us growing up, like it was like, your problems aren't problems. Like, or you're not, like, your little things that you think are problems aren't. And I think I listened to this podcast once that talked about, like, how nothing really matters. Like, it does, but it doesn't. Like, there's this, like, thing where, like, we are like a speck in, like, the history of time. Like, not, you know, like, if we consider, like, the time that basically, like, if we, like, took the whole history of the universe and put it into 1 year, the time that everything on this planet has happened would equate to the last, like, 4 minutes of the year. And so, like, when you kind of just think about it that way, like, oh, it's the same podcast. It's called Mindset Mentorship. And it's just kind of like that. Like, you just kind of have to, like, look at, like, everything. Like, if it, like, it doesn't matter, but it does, you know, it does matter. But, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, it doesn't matter that much. Everything's going to be okay. So.
Well, I've also heard a quote that says, if everything is important, then nothing is important.
Yes, yeah, that's
So
exactly.
if we make everything a giant emergency or everything top priority, then the real important things don't stand out as important.
Yeah, you have to, I think that's so true. Like, such a big part of mindset is just like knowing what's important to you and what really matters, and taking a problem and saying, okay, so, like, what's the absolute worst thing that could happen? And if that absolute worst thing happens, then what? You know, and usually, like, the answer is you're going to be fine.
Yeah. I love it. Do you guys have any questions for her? No?
I've got one for you, Annie. So, you know, when you started, you know, you started with a developer or a builder and things like that. And then you said that kind of went away, right? And so you had to go out and begin your clientele, I guess, from the start, right? So, and by the way, you said you're shy. I don't believe that. But anyway, you said you were, and so you didn't like making phone calls. What got you to, what did you do to build your clientele base? Because really, I think phone calls is where it's at right now for me.
Yeah, no, you're right. So, so what I did is so aside from my sphere of influence, what I kind of did with my SOI was I tried to just make it known. And, you know, like, even Facebook and stuff wasn't a big thing, but I wasn't necessarily doing anything formal, like mailers or anything like that. Or even, like, a lot of phone calls to friends. And I would probably be in a lot better place than I am right now if I would have done some of these things. Like, I feel like it's been a very slow and steady progression for me, but it could have been faster and bigger. But so you know, don't do everything I do. But so for me, I was kind of slowly like just making it known that I was doing real estate, and I'd get a listing and I'd kind of make sure people knew, just kind of casually, you know, yeah, I sold their house, you know, last month or whatever, you know, and that way. But the biggest thing was, so I was taking internet leads, and it was a little bit easier for me. And again, like, I guess, yeah, I don't know if I fit the total definition of shy, but I have reservations. I'm like, I have these little, you know, insecurities. So, but taking those internet leads, it was where I really started to feel like people needed my help, that I was like, yeah, no, I can help you. Like, no, I know how to facilitate a short sale. Let's get your bank on the phone. This is what you need, you know? So it got easier for me because I felt like I truly had something to offer them. So that was where, but yeah, it was just going outside of my comfort zone, you know, to get on those phone calls. But I will say those were leads that were coming in. So it wasn't a cold call, it was a warm call, because they were giving me their information. I haven't done a cold call to this day, but I think you should.
So how did you get that information from these leads?
So that's the thing. So I do feel like we're in a different world. I think, like, aside from you like paying Zillow or Trulia or Realtor.com at this point, it's probably going to be pretty tough. But I was working with a brokerage that was, they had like a really strong internet presence. They had a search engine optimization guy, an SEO guy that was incredibly talented. And they were based in Logan. And I met these guys from a friend of a friend, and their company was based in Logan, and they would get a lot of like northern Utah real estate searches. Well, that was kind of their search, but a lot of people classify like Salt Lake County, Davis County as northern Utah, so they would send me all those. Like, we're talking like 20 leads a day. So I mean, there's an element of luck involved in all of this too, but luck is, I mean, I had to go and find these people and make them believe that I was the girl for the job. So
yes. Awesome. Do you guys have any other questions? Jeff, are you talking? You're on mute.
there you go.
One of the most important questions: icon pass or solitude pass?
I'm an icon pass
Me
holder.
too. All right.
Are you? Okay. We can just admit our. Yeah.
Jeff's really cool, so if you're doing like what he's doing, then you're doing okay, Annie.
We've probably crossed tracks in Honeycomb a bunch.
We probably have. Oh, that's so cool. I'll have to find you up there. That's awesome. I didn't go out a lot this year, and then when it got cut short, I was super bummed. Definitely didn't get my money out of my pass, but last year I did for sure. So $5.99 renewal, you can't beat it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys. Well, Annie, I cannot thank you enough for coming on here today. We know you're busy, and I so appreciate you taking the time and preparing and everything she was working on over the weekend. She really cared about this, so you can tell you are amazing. Thank you. I wanted to just talk about a couple other things, and then I'm going to give you guys a little bonus speaker today. So I don't know if you guys can see in our screen, we have somebody on here by the name of Kim Valdez. She is actually a realtor in a different company in a different state. If you like me at all, she is the reason that I'm in real estate. She's one of my very best friends and huge mentor, and we went through the recession together. And so you guys are able to use all of this stuff to invite other people on here. Like you said, a lot of other companies aren't offering help through this time. And so I just invited her to jump on our mastermind. I'm going to pick on her and see if she wants to give us a couple tips as well. Kim.
I do. I'm here. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. So ask away. I'm an open book.
Well, talk about the recession, kind of going through a shifting market, what your mindset was during that too.
So I've been in real estate for about 19 years. Terry and I go way back. She actually introduced me to my husband, which I've been married to him for almost 20. So we were in the market back in 08, not as prepared as we had hoped to be. It was a tough, scary time. But that's where I found my niche to be foreclosures and short sales. I found the love for my clients to help them first and foremost before the money. Always been secondary for me. It's just kind of how I roll. The gratification to help them. I mean, you laugh with them, you cry with them, you get them out of such an incredibly difficult time. And although I don't feel like we are here at that moment, right? But I do think they're going to come back. So I've never really had a cold call. Not my favorite thing to do at all. However, Terry convinced me to sign up on the dialer. So first day out, third person in, I was calling FSBOs, and I get a gal, a real sweet gal, and she's in foreclosure, she's actually not in foreclosure. She just has to do a short sale, and she's trying to do it on her own, but she already talked to another agent. He's coming out to meet her the next day to sign a listing agreement. Well, that's my thing. Like, that's my expertise. I know so much about short sales, and I just said, please make sure that you are dealing with someone that has your best interests. So I chit-chatted, and she goes, you know what? I prayed for this conversation. I mean, this is literally what she said. She was like, prayed for someone to come to me. I wasn't feeling it from this other agent. So she canceled that appointment. I went and met with them, took the listing, literally put him in escrow in 2 days. But she cried like she's so excited. For me, that just made it worth it. So find your niche, whatever it may be, but have it because you want to help that client, not for the financial reward. That's kind of my big shout out.
I would even say with that story, don't worry so much about your niche, because calling for sell by owners definitely was not your niche.
No.
And you kind of, because of the shift in the market, you were like, I've got to talk to people, and called a for sell by owner, which is not something you would normally do, right?
True. And they need us.
And she even texted me on her third or fourth call, and the text came across as very much what I was reading between the lines is, this doesn't work. And I knew it didn't work. And I said, get back on the phone. And she jumped back on, and then she's like, I just booked an appointment. So I think it goes back to what Annie was saying, is pushing through hard things, shifting, pivoting, doing what we don't necessarily want to do or enjoy doing, pushing through it and making it happen. So. And
it does pay off. It does pay off. It's just, you have to get out of your comfort zone. Who wants to cold call? I've never had to in a very, very, very long time. But, if the market calls for it, you have to do what you have to do. And those people need us. Know that. They need your help. They just don't know that they need your help.
Yeah. I think that is the biggest thing. If you guys can take anything away from this, know that people need you. I think for me, I always felt like, oh, there's so many agents and they're always calling people and they're always, but Kim, I love that you said that, like, know that you are needed, and like you said, like, this poor lady had probably talked to this agent that just, it was not feeling right. And she needed you. And I've had that same experience where I've had people like interview agents and say, we're just going to go by owner. And then like I come in and I've been referred to them, and they've like, oh my gosh, you did all this for us. Like, I do staging, I stage my stuff, and like, there's just things that we can do that we can truly, truly help people that need it. So,
yep. Find what makes you stand out.
Yeah. And if you find that and you feel that way, you will overcome your fears. Like, your fears of talking to people will go away when you know that you're helping them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, question for both of you. So Kim, you talked about us maybe not being prepared because we hadn't been through a shift before in our real estate career, and not being prepared for those short sales. I do believe, I don't believe this is 2008, but I do believe a lot of people are losing their jobs and a lot of things are going to change. And even if our little dip in the market is only for a few months, there are people that have, I think, and I'm going to misquote the number, so I'm not even going to say it, but it's in the millions of people that just missed their first mortgage payment in all of this. So I do believe people are going to go into default, and we are going to be able to help them. And I've been through it, Annie's been through it, Kim's been through it, where we truly help people out of those situations. But what would be your advice on how do we be prepared this time? Or if you've never been through it before, how do we get prepared? Kim, you go first.
I'll let you go.
So for me, because I did feel so incredibly unprepared, I thought my world was falling out. On top of in '08 losing so many of my own personal rental properties. Like, it was brutal. It seriously kicked my butt, but it was a huge eye opener. And during that time, actually, it was one of the hugest times in real estate for me because of the short sales and foreclosures. I was extremely successful helping people, but on the financial aspect of it, it was crazy. So we went to seminars back then to do all that, right? To gain the knowledge. You can go on the internet. It's all everywhere. I do believe right now we're not seeing as many foreclosures or short sales. However, with the forbearances, which are not our friend, but whatever, eventually these people are probably not going to be able to catch up. I do think you're going to have a huge opportunity to help people that are losing their homes. There are options. They don't know what their options are. It's our job as realtors to educate them and help them understand they're not alone, and we can help them honestly and ethically, you know? So do your homework. Get some knowledge about foreclosures, get some knowledge about short sales. So when people ask you that question, you have something to share, because I do think you can help a lot of people along the way. And I think you can still make a lot of money helping someone. The gratification is huge, but do your homework and get polished up, because I do think we're going to see a lot more foreclosures and a lot more short sales. Some agents are going to get it. It might as well be you, you know?
And aside from them not making their mortgage payments, your for sale by owner, correct me if I'm wrong, was not behind on payments, but being forced to transfer and move to a different state. Because of a job transfer, because of the shift in the market. So it wasn't even that they were behind on payments, but it's going to be a short sale still. So we've got to be educated on that. It could be that scenario, or it could be somebody who just can't make a payment.
And I think maybe just to add to that too, we may not see, I mean, we will see some short sales, because I think there are a good share of people who have tapped into their equity for other things that, you know, so we will see that. We might not see as many, but maybe that's also your way of, like, I remember I had a client one time during the bottom that they had so much equity in their house and they were about to lose it. And it's like, oh my goodness, you're going to walk away from $150,000. Like, let's get this sold, you know? So I think that's the thing too. Like Kim said, get the knowledge on that stuff. Like, figure out, you know, how to do a short sale, which banks are going to be okay with it, which ones aren't, who's going to be forgiving of the short sale, you know, and then like the process itself, so that when you get on the phone with someone, you're prepared, because it's one thing to make the contact, but then you've got to be prepared to have the conversations too. So I think if you could take some time out of your day while you're not sitting at open houses right now or whatever, you know, and just like Kim said, just like get educated so that you're ready when that does happen. And maybe it won't be short sales, but maybe it'll be helping someone who needs to sell and tap into their equity to kind of get a fresh start from not having a job for 9 months, you know, and you can help explain to them how that would work.
And even if you have the knowledge, right, but you're talking to a traditional seller, when you're talking to them and you're sharing with them the knowledge that you have of foreclosures and short sales, because it is in the air and people are talking about it, they're just going to look at you and think, dang, this agent is knowledgeable in every aspect, right, of this real estate industry. It just makes you shine. You know, when I talked to that lady, I was a book of information and I told her so much stuff, it landed me the listing, you know? So I just say, you're right, we're home, we have nothing else to do. Go on the internet. You can go into any lender. It's all over. It's free knowledge.
Yeah. And Annie touched on it too, like stimulus packages that helped you through the last recession. There's a lot of stimulus coming out right now. And what are people doing with the stimulus? And I'm sure there's going to be more help down the road. And I do remember we were able to market the heck out of that money that they got back, and tax credits, and first-time home buyers. This is where, again, look for the opportunity. This shift is going to bring opportunities to us. So we have to be ahead of the game and in front of it. So
let me touch on one more thing on the stimulus package. So I reached out to past clients, you know, just to see how they were doing. I actually did a little video and I blasted out to everyone. I texted it to everybody in my phone, and it was a video, and it wasn't really about real estate. It really was, you know what, hey, I'm thinking about you. I just wanted to see how you're doing, whatever it is. I got so much feedback, right? I touched base with everybody. Well, then yesterday I did, and that was a couple weeks ago. They knew that I cared about them. I wanted to see how they were doing. Well, the market is shifting. Rates are good. You guys, no matter how you dice it, buyers are still going to buy. Rates are really good right now. So I did a blast out last night. It's a little late, maybe 7, 8 o'clock at night, of just a little spiel about how good the rates are if they're on the fence. I'm not kidding you. Within probably 10 minutes of 20 blasts out, I heard back from 10 people. 2 that are wanting to buy that were on the fence. So it's just us educating them. But on the stimulus package, so I reached out to some past clients and they're like, no, we didn't get our money. We're just not going to get it, yada, yada, yada. It's not true. So I told them, just go online. You need to fill out, they prompt you to ask some questions, but because they didn't automatically get it or wasn't really sure how to get it, by me telling them, they got their money. They went online. Again, it's just another conversation, right? It's you being educated and being smart. And I just put $2,900 in someone's pocket that they literally thought they were not going to get, actually 2 people. So just be educated.
And it's just that it goes back to come from contribution. How can I help them today? How can I help somebody today? Even if they don't buy a house today, they're never going to forget when you help them like that. Okay, thank you ladies so much. Thanks my bonus speaker. Again, she's one of my very best friends. I got into real estate. Some of you guys maybe have heard the story, but we were sitting around her pool drinking margaritas and I had a baby and I was like, what am I going to do with this child now? And I have children at home, and she talked me into getting my license, and here we are. Almost 20 years.
I go to Terry for advice. Seriously, she's so smart, so smart.
Okay, I want to hear some ahas. I want to hear what you guys wrote down. I don't want this just to be an hour and 4 minutes now of Zoom. We get enough Zoom calls in our life these days, so I want it to be something you can take action on. So I want to hear a few things you guys are going to implement today. I'm going to just pick out names so we can get through this quickly. Cher, what are you going to do?
Well, number 2, I mean, everything you guys all said was great, but number 2, break it down little by little. Just do something every single day, you know, even if it's just, you know, a post on Facebook or making some calls, reaching out, dropping something off to someone. That's what I'm going to do.
Love it. Greg, what did you take away?
That was one of them right there, but it's not worrying about so much, because that's my problem. What Annie was saying is you just, you know, it's okay. You know, I mean, don't sweat the small stuff, right? That was a good book too, if anybody read that. But
that's a great book.
That's a great book. But you know, that's one of my biggest problems is just that. I'll get hung up on something and think I got to do this whole thing before I get the end result, and it's a big problem, and I end up spinning my wheels. That's another thing. So yeah, the one thing about, you know, it's okay. Take time and, you know, and get through that and then move on. If you don't get it all done, that's okay. Tomorrow's another day.
Yep. Awesome. Melissa.
Okay. I liked that to just do your homework, gain the knowledge. I want to work on gaining more information so that I can answer questions for my clients and put their mind at ease on stuff.
Awesome. And yourself too, right? Like
yes,
the more we learn, the more confident we get to be, and it's motivating. It helps us get up and get going when we have more knowledge. So awesome. Yeah. Malay, she's out in nature. You're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm waiting for an appointment. I was driving over here while we were talking, but just to do the little things, just do something instead of nothing every day. And I think the big thing that I take away from here, I need to take an hour for myself away from my family. Just kidding. And my work. And also another thing that I would like to look into, I want a lot of training when it comes to the short sale. I have some knowledge, but it's very small.
Okay. This is definitely something as you guys know, any trainings that you're wanting, just please let us know. You're going to get a lot of training on that. I do think it will be coming down the pipe, and I'm happy to train on what I know, but I will add that to our training calendar. So good recommendation.
Thank you.
Yes. Carmen.
So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I liked what Annie said about, it was number 4, like instead of saying why me or why not, figure out a reason or figure out a way to make it work. Like ask yourself, well, how can I make this work? Or, you know, and I liked also what she said about don't underestimate yourself. So I think that's something that definitely I need to to think more about, is thinking outside the box and how can we make things work, and you know, and I can do this.
Yes, awesome. Let's see, Jeff.
Annie, I really liked your idea of reaching out to small business owners and seeing what you can do to help them out, because we are all small business owners, and I do know a bunch in the Valley. And I'm going to take you up on that challenge and do the same thing.
Love
Good.
it.
That's awesome.
Zula. You don't want to share?
No. No, I liked everything that Annie said, and we really need to be prepared for the shift and be ahead of the games, educate ourselves, and I think I'm gonna start educating myself on the foreclosure and the short sale really well too.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able to adapt where, like, I want to be useful and help my clients and educate them in every possible scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also,
I was just going to say, even as we're putting an hour down for ourselves to be away from everything, I think 1 hour of education could go a long way too. Yeah. What else were you going to say?
Nothing.
Okay. Connor. Are you still? Oh.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you just gotta keep on trucking. From what I gathered, like big ahas, I guess, is if you're not moving forward, you're pretty much just moving backwards. And just do something a little bit each day to move that needle forward. You know, just keep doing something.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, yes. And so I just wanted to share a couple things that I got that she said. Do the hard things. It just doesn't matter. I wrote that down, like really thinking about it. It just doesn't matter. The fundamentals right now are all the same. So nothing's changed there. We just might be doing things differently. Stand out, and our clients need to be first, always. So those were my big ahas, as well as opportunity. I wrote opportunity and I circled it. So look for the opportunities, keep being amazing as you guys all are. Again, thank you so much, Annie, for jumping on here. We sure appreciate you doing this today.
Guys,